a silent killer. Blaspheme waiting in your veins for years to erupt when everything else is falling down from bodily grace. Flowers which as in a dream at sunset I watered faithfully, not knowing how much I loved them, except how can one not know? These blood-red roots found haunted soil and sprang to life, witchy mysticism far beyond any druid cure. And yet, here we are, months, or maybe years past near death, with our vena cava curses and unholy memory. My father should have died from cancer. There's more of a chain reaction to it. Lymphoma attacking his immune system, triggering his decades-resting hepatitis C, spurring liver cancer, and that almost taking his life. I remember the day he went in for a routine checkup and was told he was on death's door, taken in for what would end up being a 3-day and, shortly after, a week-long hospital stay, during which I came home from my living upstate to stay with Dad. It was a surprise to everyone, but especially him. The tests that teams of savior doctors had been performing for years had shown no signs of immediate danger. But with the onset of cancer, the hepatitis caught up to him. First jaundice, then near death. He didn't come home the night after that appointment, and I didn't understand how the disease had seemingly exploded all on the hinge of a single visit. I never found myself questioning why he had hepatitis C in the first place. It was the 70s, man, I nonchalantly figured. Whether that meant too many needle games or too many sexual partners, I didn't know and didn't quite care. But everyone affected has a different story. Whether it's being born with the affliction and not knowing until much later in life, or through unprotected sex that wasn't meant to happen, though this is uncommon. Drug addiction that couldn't be helped, no stigma is warranted. Any prejudice against those carrying hepatitis is invalid because nobody deserves a lifelong virus, no matter how they got it. People with hepatitis speak of how the hardest part is often the harshness they receive, not only from society, but their friends and loved ones closest to them. How they are treated as dirty or like they got what was coming to them, when what they really need is the emotional support to combat such hard circumstances. When we judge someone already facing something more difficult than we can even realize, we only compound the tough experience. We all live with stigmas. Emotional disorder, loss of loved ones, chronic illnesses. It's up to the people around us to be better than to stigmatize, to ostracize. It's up to the people we love to make us know their perception of us is not skewed, not entirely built up of what it is that society points to as abnormal or less than. Instead of writing someone off as different, negative, approaching someone's affliction with empathy and understanding can alleviate much of the mental miasma that goes along with stigmatization. And for something that affects so many people, there sure is a lot of misconception about hepatitis C. You can contract hepatitis from blood transfusions or any blood contact whatsoever. You snort powders, share a straw, someone else's blood in your nasal cavity. You have rough sex, cause abrasions, someone else's blood mixing with your bodily juices. You do that blood-packed thing where you lacerate your hands and shake on it. Don't do that. It just goes to show there's many ways to get Hep C that don't involve the stigma of needles, which people get into without choice sometimes, and shouldn't be seen as so evil anyway. When I began studying the ways Hep C can be contracted, I realized everything society so maliciously whispers about is all wrong. I had no clue how common it really is. I had no clue how many people in my own life were living with it. My mother's husband contracted hepatitis C as a young adult hailing from Italy. His shared needles and drug use undoubtedly led to its contraction, and although he got clean from then on, he had to live with the after effects for his adult life. My grandmother also shared needles taking drugs with my grandfather in the 60s, without knowing, of course, that he was already inflicted. She came from Wales, and had never tried drugs at all until coming to America and meeting him, and the two of them were deeply involved in the experimental art scene of New York City at the time. In fact, my grandfather died of liver cancer brought on by hepatitis C in 2001, when the known cure was a rigorous regimen of medicating the condition. Now, the remedy is taking a magic pill for a series of weeks. This has cured my mother's husband, my grandmother, and now my own father. The strides the medical field has made concerning hepatitis C are powerful. With all this advancement and ease of curability, the way that the public thinks of people afflicted with hepatitis C should be dramatically changing too. I love the people in my life. I love them for their faults, and I love them for their strengths. The resilience that it takes to beat a disease that almost kills you, whether it's a battle against cancer or living long enough with hepatitis C to see a cure, is so beautiful. It makes those I love all the more admirable. Especially being so close to my father and staying by him for his fight to live, I can understand the hardships one undergoes to protect themselves from physical ailment. Everyone in society who doesn't live with the affliction should thank their lucky stars and appreciate those with the determination to deal with their condition that much more. Instead of shame, let's combat it with pride. A silent killer. Rainbows of medicine in the shadows of painful memories. The sharpness of steel, the aroma of wafting smoke. There's starlight in the hearts of hospital soldiers. Love in the minds of those who heal with their words. We're a world united. We're all friends here. And most importantly, we stand together. We solve everything when we stand together.